Hello and welcome back to the Import-Export Hub channel Newsreel by Bogdan here, your host for the next couple of minutes. Thanks for joining in. I hope that you're all doing great. And guys, without losing too much precious time here, let's start with the usual quiz question for the week, which this time involves Switzerland, and it goes like this. So to whom did Switzerland exported the most in terms of value, of course, in 2021? And the options here are the United States, Germany, or China. And guys, the correct answer is the US, to whom Switzerland exported almost $63 billion. It was followed by Germany with roughly $55 billion, while China was the third largest export destination with some $33 billion. And I don't know if you're wondering what products drove Switzerland's exports towards China in 2021. I can tell you that gold and pharmaceutical products were the main ones, with some $100 million each. And now that you're ready for your next trivia challenge, let's take a look at the Freightos index here, who, by the way, last week went public on NASDAQ. And basically we have here $2,214 for the overall index, which is up 2% from the previous week, with North Europe to North America East Coast sub-index jumping up 10%, while the other big movers, so Mediterranean to China sub-index, went down 1%. And frankly, the overall volatility, as expected, is not that high, even though last week I have to say that I've anticipated downwards readjustment for the China to the Mediterranean sub-index. At least it seems that the figures for now contradict my forecast, but we will wait and see together what this week brings to us. And guys, it's not that much to say really here in terms of freights. The main head hauls are pretty much unchanged in absolute values. So I'll move to my first news that somehow shake the world of shipping. And I don't know, I don't want to brag here, but in this video, which is from December 2022, around minute 2 and some 30 seconds or 40 seconds, I've anticipated this move for 2023, thanks of course to my one-of-a-kind and famous crystal ball, which sometimes does wonders. So guys, as I was saying, on January the 25th, the world of shipping took notice of the joint press statement by MSC and Maersk, in which they've announced the termination of the present 2M alliance effective January 2025. Both companies recognizing, apparently, that much has changed since the two companies signed the 10 years agreement back in 2015. Now, paving the way for both companies to continue to pursue their individual strategies. And I won't read the entire press release here. You have, the news received a lot of coverage, of course, and I will summarize for you the most important reasons behind this move. Well, the first reason, we have witnessed a huge fleet expansion of the Mediterranean Shipping Company, at least in the last couple of years. The second reason is the ongoing vertical integration of the alliance members that sometimes give rise to conflicting strategies. On one hand, for example, Mediterranean Shipping Company is a player focused more on assets, on terminals, on vessels, and somehow broader logistics. While on the other hand, Maersk is heading towards a global logistics player, an end-to-end integrator, a provider if you want. And okay, there are subtle differences here, but there are differences that matter in pursuing a strategy, which sometimes are very, very difficult to reconcile when you're a member of an alliance. So this is another reason, reason number two. And lastly, the third reason, which popped up quite a lot in the media, is the future of the alliances as we know them. Of course, you know that there are increasing pressures coming from the regulatory bodies from all over the world, especially the European Union and the United States. For example, consortia block extension regulation negotiations are on their way, at least here in the European Union. I think that they know what's going to happen next in terms of new alliance regulations. They don't like the idea or how it sounds, and they've decided to formally close this subject from now, leaving now the largest players on their own with Mediterranean Shipping Company, at least according to some pundits, in a better position given the size of its fleet and order book. And guys, I don't want to take sides here, but I will mention a true fact that I've witnessed a couple of years ago, and you choose sides if you want. I won't mention if it's MSC or Maersk. But I don't know, when the biggest selling point of that company is that every time you call, you pick up the phone, there is a person answering your calls. I think that this statement alone speaks for itself about the real foundations of that company. I'm being ironic here, and I don't know, as a shipper, I couldn't care less if I speak with a robot or a human if, I don't know, my problems aren't resolved, if the schedule reliability is low, or if my cargo claims are not handled properly by the people whom you praise so much. And maybe for those of you working with the major shipping lines, I think that by now you know who's that company. If not, I will launch another smoking screen if you want. Don't ever underestimate the Danish. And I still didn't said the name of the company, as one company has a Danish CEO while the other is a Danish company. Anyways, joke and irony aside, guys, time will tell whose strategy will be more successful. Frankly, I don't feel pity for any of them, so I'll move to my next news very quickly here. And it's coming from New Zealand Foreign Affairs, and it's about the Philippines, as it seems that their economy is bouncing back relatively quickly thanks to strong domestic demand and the easing of COVID restrictions, with a projected growth here for 2022 around 7% before slowing to an average of 5.7% annually from 2023 until 2025. So good news coming from one of the biggest Southeast Asian economies. This was one of them. The second news covers the Eurozone, and here, despite energy shock affecting the economy, it seems that production held up well, with the most recent data showing an annual growth of 1.8% in industrial production. But at the same time, the author argues that the industry data seems too good to be true, indicating that if the energy crisis were to persist, the impact on production will likely become more broadly visible this year, so in 2023. So we're not out of the woods just yet, at least in what concerns the Eurozone. So this was another story that I thought it's worth mentioning it. And now I'll jump to my next news, as I had to cover the US data as well, as the fourth quarter US GDP report showed that the economy expanded at 2.9%, slightly above the 2.6% forecast. So 0.3 positive adjustment. But even here, the author argues that if you open up the hood of this positive number and somehow dig deeper into the details, you will see that the news is not all positive if you factor in the consumer spending and non-residential fixed investments, which grew with only 2.1 and 0.7 respectively. We have here the level of US GDP versus pre-COVID trend with a big spread forecasted from the second half of this year. And sadly, this data is sustained by what the US companies perceive the future, as it seems that they are focused now more on costs rather than motivation to expand businesses, which, let's face it, in times of uncertainty is the safest thing to do as a CEO. So I don't know, until consumer confidence is restored with positive spillover effects in terms of consumer spending, which will eventually trigger CEOs' motivation to expand their businesses, most probably we will see a brief and somehow shallow US recession. While the European CEOs, their counterparts, are more pessimistic, with 68% of them preparing for a deep EU recession coupled with a global spillover. But anyways, guys, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news here. I don't want to insist more on this topic. I just wanted to tell you how different parts of the world are reacting after 2.5 years of pandemic, how supply chains are realigned and redesigned, if you want. And of course, if you want to dig deeper, please do so, as I will leave the links in the description below. And guys, with this being said, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit whatever button you like. And as usual, until next time, keep your business safe. Thanks.